Ladies and gentlemen,
They say the next big thing is here.
the Steve Warneke Show.
Hey everybody, welcome. I am Steve Warneke. Thanks for being with me. We are over at stevewarneke.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I am author of From Boy to Blue, available at Amazon and on Kindle. Here, your resident police expert talking to you, trying to bridge the gap between police officers and citizens. Today I have something solemn I need to discuss with you, and it's the murder of Officer Mia Sotis Familia, the NYPD officer, mother of 3, who was assassinated in her car while sitting in a high-crime area trying to deter crime. And I'm wondering what's going on since this happened. So today I open up the computer and I look at the New York Post and I see actually under Google the funeral coverage. But it's not really about the sacrifice that Officer Familia made. It's not really about the tremendous loss for the world, the community, America. It's not about how important the police are to our very way of life, because you go and you find a situation like after a Super Bowl where people get a chance. We are so close to chaos everywhere that the only people affording us the quality of life that we have now are the men and women out there defending the laws that we've agreed on through a system of government. That's the only reason rocks aren't being thrown through our windows, people aren't being shanked in the streets. It's for them. So let's look at the outrage that's happened recently, and most recently with the acquittal of an officer who was performing his duties, who shoots a man who's high, driving his child around, who fits the description of a robber, who turns out was carrying a firearm legally, but doesn't listen to commands to not reach for it. And the world is up in arms. But yet an officer who's out there protecting our very way of life is sitting in a car and assassinated, and we go, well, it's kind of part of the job, isn't it? That's what it seems like the response has been. That's what it seems like to me. That's what it seems like the response has been. Well, cops get killed. It's unfortunate. It's very sad. Not like people weren't sad. They were sad. I'm not saying nobody wasn't sad. But where's the outrage? Where's the protests? Do we realize as a society that this kind of action, assassinating police officers in seated cars, is one of the biggest threats we're facing as a country that threatens our very way of life? Do we not understand that that's what we should be up in arms about? That's what we should be pissed off and taking to the streets about. That's what we should be writing to the media and writing to everybody, congressmen and lawmakers, demanding that this doesn't happen anymore and that we take the necessary steps to assure that it doesn't. So I have a few things I want to talk about because I look up this article today, and you know what the coverage is about? It's about cops who were disrespecting Mayor de Blasio by turning their back at the funeral of Officer Familia. That's what the coverage is about. Now, not all the media covered that, but those of you in the media who did cover that, shame, shame, shame on you. You know what this is the equivalent of, honest to God? This is like we're all back in high school or something, and the principal comes in and calls everybody into the gym, and he says, listen, we've got a really important guest. It's the President of the United States. He's going to talk to us. It's a really important thing. He's going to teach us stuff about our country. This is like a real, a time to pay respect and honor, our country and everything that we've become. And literally, the press is going, Becky's got her eyelids turned inside out over there. Look at that. And that's what we're focused on. That's what the press was about. That's what it feels like the press coverage is. It's the little gossipy kids at school. Well, look, they turned their back on the mayor. How about the cop that's dead and the 3 kids who don't have a mother anymore? How about we focus on helping the family that's left to care for those kids? How about we set up some funds in her name? How about we do something good, start a charity, give to police foundations, enact other laws, make sentencing more stricter for crime against police? How about we do any number of those things? But instead, we're worried about a few cops. Because I don't even know how many. I wasn't there. Who turned their backs? Maybe. You know, you read through this New York Post article, and it says it's not the first time that officers have done that. A de Blasio spokesman downplayed his boss's shunning by police at the service, saying that a couple people showed up to partake in a bogus controversy. So this is what we're focused on. Is this really the issue? Is this really what we should be focused on? It's not. It's not. What's the issue is that police officers are being assassinated in their car. And people are going, well, I mean, it's a dangerous job. Some of them. But you know what I think? You know what I actually think? I think most of you in the country think that it's a horrible tragedy. I think most of you in the country understand fully how important the police are. I think we're hearing from a little snippet of people over and over and over again. And it's skewing what's going on in the world. We have a distorted perception of what people are really thinking, because I think most of the people I know are sickened by this. They're not the ones going, oh, did you hear about the cops who turned their back at This is just the Eddie Haskell media doing this. You know what I mean? Oh, it's just our job to report everything. We're just telling the story. Don't make us the scapegoat. The story is honoring this woman, not this petty ridiculousness. And to the officers, if you did turn your backs on the mayor at a funeral, it's not the time for it. It's not the time to do it. There's a time for political discourse, opposition, speaking out. There's a way to do it. It's not the proper venue while you're honoring a fallen officer to make a statement against the mayor. That's not the place to do it. And I don't know about the NYPD, but I know that in a lot of places, and I don't even know if this happened or how many people did it. You can't. I read stories of hundreds. I read stories of a dozen. I don't know. But if you're there and you're the officers, it's your responsibility. If someone turns their back, go, this isn't the time or place. We're here to pay our respects and honor a woman who died in the line of duty, protecting the citizens of this country, who was a mother of 3. We'll do that later. There's other ways we can go about it. But you know what? I also understand, because I did that job for over 15 years and I retired as a sergeant. You know what else I understand? The cops are pissed. The cops are pissed. And I don't blame them. They're out there every day putting their lives on the lines for strangers. And when a shooting happens where a police officer was acting in good faith, now it turns out, especially with the Facebook shooting that we talk about, but at least it's argumentative, right? Or there's a process that has to take place. What happened on 9/11 is inexcusable. It's not defensible. What happened to Officer Familia is not defensible in any way, shape, or form. Most of the police shootings are defensible. There's a defense. Like, I was protecting, here's what I saw, here's what I was responding, here's what I thought was going on, this is what I was facing, this is what I perceived, this is what this person said. It's defensible. This kind of stuff is not defensible. So we're not up in arms about the stuff that's not defensible. Why not? So I understand the cops are upset because nobody's got their back, and I understand they're pissed at the mayor. They say, oh, well, the mayor went to go join the protests in Germany instead of coming to speak in front of the men and women of the NYPD who were graduating after an officer has been killed. Okay, be pissed at him, but not at the funeral. And I'm not the mayor. I don't know. I don't even know. It doesn't matter why you're mad at the mayor. It really doesn't. There's a different time and a place for it. But the citizens have to understand that these officers are out there doing this job and now facing assassinations while they're seated in the car. And do you know what? They don't think anybody, including you, have their back. They don't feel like the mayor does. They don't feel like the chiefs and commissioners do. And now they don't feel like the public does. And they're getting pissed. Let me tell you about a good way that you can, instead of turning your back at a funeral. There's one officer that we're about to play here from NYPD who was on Facebook. It's got a trillion views already. I'm sure you've seen this. If you haven't, let me play a little clip from this. He's in uniform in his car and he recorded this. This is a proper place later on to make a statement. Not at the funeral. There's other ways to make our point across, but let's listen to a little bit about what he has to say.
Where's the hands up, don't shoot people? Where are you right now? Why is it every thug, every career criminal, every piece of garbage, low-life scum of the earth gets the attention when they're shot and killed for breaking the law, for threatening others? They're victimizing people. When they're shot and killed by the police, they become heroes. Their families become millionaires. You got a New York City police officer, mother of three, out there, sitting in a gang-infested precinct, sitting there in a high-visibility post to deter crime. She's just sitting in a vehicle. And this coward walks up and shoots her right in the head. That's a victim.
Was the clip I wanted to play. I don't know his name. It's being passed around on Facebook. Unbelievably well said. We have it backwards. But I will say to all of the law enforcement in America that I really don't think a majority of Americans have it backwards. We're just not hearing from them. They're at home agreeing with an officer like this, agreeing with the things that I'm saying. They do consider this to be a horrible tragedy. They are wondering, where's the media coverage? But they're not in the media, so they can't really control it. But we are behind you. We're behind you. We stand with you. We support you. We are there for you. We know what you're doing is important. We know that it's because of you that we can leave our windows open at night to get a nice breeze. Thank you to the officers every day and night that are out there doing that. Most of us do have your back. You're just not hearing from us because we're the silent majority. You're hearing from the outspoken minority of people that are cop haters or have an agenda, and you're letting it, you're interpreting it as a majority. But I don't think that's the case. We are here for you. We're hearing from groups like Black Lives Matter every time there's an incident regarding a minority and police. But you don't hear a lot about from Black Lives Matter when a female African-American officer is assassinated in her car. They put out this banal, ridiculous statement. In response to the senseless killing of female NYPD officer Mia Sotis Familia today in the Bronx, Black Lives Matter of Greater New York condemns all acts of violence outside of self-defense. Our prayers go out to the family, especially her mother and 3 children. The man who killed the officer, was in fact troubled. It's already mitigating. You can already hear it. This was their official Black Lives Matter of Greater New York statement, July 5th, 11:32 on Facebook. 11:32 p.m. The man who killed her was in fact troubled. Okay. It's just doesn't make it better. He's just troubled. In one of his social media posts, he warned, quote, about law enforcement officers killing and abusing people. Unfortunately, every time America allows officers to murder a person. So here, we've already tried. I can't even read this crap. I can't. They've turned it into their own agenda. So Black Lives Matter can't even offer sincere condolences when a black female is murdered. So whose lives is it that really matter? Or do you just have an agenda? Because it doesn't seem to be what you're saying. You picked a name that nobody's going to disagree with. And nobody does disagree with. I think about all the people I know in the world. Nobody thinks that black lives don't matter. You picked a name on purpose so that anyone that dare open their mouth about you gets accused of being a racist. That's what you did. That's what you did. Even though we're not, and we don't think like that, you thought, we'll name. That's like, you know what? I would start an organization saying, molesting boys is bad. But really what we're going to do is attack the Catholic Church. That's our agenda, is to attack the Catholic Church because we dislike them. And anybody that dares come against me, oh, so you think little boys should be raped, do you? Huh? Oh, so it's okay to have sex with little boys? Is that what you're saying? That's what's going on here. Black Lives Matter really just has an agenda. And their anti-law enforcement agenda. And I'm going to go back to this statement here for just a second, even though it's sickening. Instead of offering their genuine sympathies to this family and the community, they go on to say in this statement in paragraph 3, today, Hawk Newsom, president of Black Lives Matter of Greater New York, sat with Winona Small, a widow of Delron Small, who was killed on the same day last year by an officer who's being prosecuted for murder by the New York State Attorney General. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're going to do that? And then their final that one, I have bile in the back of my throat right now. I really do. I'm choking down. You know when you puke in the back of your throat? That just happened. I have to swallow it down. It's disgusting, really. So I read the statement so that we all can see the agenda of Black Lives Matter, because there is something that I'm going to do about it and something that I suggest everybody else does about it now that we see where their heads are really at. I let Black Lives Matter stuff go in one ear and out the other. I don't give it the time of day. I'm not interested in it. If I see it on TV, I'm going to turn it off. If it comes across my computer, I hit the back button. I don't care. I'm not going to be able to change their agenda. I'm not going to be able to sit down across from a table and convince them, God, you guys, come on, what? No, law enforcement's good. I'm not going to be able to do that. So you know what? I'm going to turn them off and pay them no mind. And I can't control what the media does, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop engaging, stop acknowledging. Because now we see how they act when it matters. That their agenda is really more important than what they said their cause was for. And not only am I going to stop engaging with them, but the same thing goes with the news media. And if you want to take an extra step, even write them. Just turn it off when they start this. When you see coverage that doesn't honor this nation, that's based, they're more concerned with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie breaking up than they are about officers being killed. Our priorities are just wrong. It's like the media is so concerned. They only want to put you on TV if you're hysterical. They want to talk about stuff like this. Officers turning their backs on the mayor. Instead of the real story. So when the media, because we're not going to go change the Constitution, and we're not going to go buy Fox News. We can't be Rupert Murdoch. Just go purchase it and then tell them you're going to stop doing that, or CNN or whatever, whoever the hell it is. I mean, Fox is probably pro-cop. I'm just throwing out organizations there. What I'm saying is we can only do what we can do. We're not going to change it. But you know what? I'm going to stop engaging. I'm going to stop acknowledging. I'm going to stop interacting. I'm going to turn it off when I see that. I'm not going to share it. And that's all I can do. And I ask you to do the same thing. We'll make a difference eventually when nobody's watching or listening to those stories and those stories don't get any traction. They'll have no choice but to cover the real story. And that's what I'm asking them. And not everybody in the media is doing this, but those of you that are, shame on you. We as a country, unfortunately now it takes a catastrophic event for us to pull together, like 9/11. Do 3,000 Americans have to die before we pull together and stop turning our backs on each other and stop fighting and bickering and stop yelling at each other? Can we be open to each other? Or if we disagree with somebody, do we have to engage with them and start an argument and name calling and then hold up their head with blood all over it like you hope they die? Do we have to do that? Or can we just take a deep breath, realize that's not what we think, no, we're not going to change their minds, and let's take the high road, turn it off, move on, do something productive, send a nice letter to your police department, send a nice letter to somebody, do something else. Just do something else that you think is meaningful. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fire up my computer and buy a microphone and get on here and put a podcast because, ABC doesn't have me on the air yet. NBC doesn't have me on the air yet, but they can't stop me from broadcasting. You don't need this kind of high-tech stuff. Get your phone, turn it on, and live Facebook if you need to say something, right? Everybody does it. We don't have to have NBC giving us the green light to say what we want to say anymore. But let's do it in a loving, compassionate manner, huh? At the end of the day, here on the Steve Warneke Show, what I want the story to be is a brave officer, regardless of race or sex, a brave NYPD officer that was out there every day, who had children, who was serving and protecting the community, was shot and killed in her car, and we ought to respect the sacrifice that she made, the job that she did, and all of the police that are out there doing the same job. That's the real tragedy, and that deserves our deepest respects. God bless you, Officer Familia. All right, everybody. I'll be over at stevewarneke.com in the meantime with articles, podcasts, and more. It's also where you can buy From Boy to Blue, which seeks to do what I'm doing here and heal the relationship by speaking the truth as a person who's been on both sides, the law enforcement side and the citizen side. I thanks for your time. I thank you for listening. I thank you for being here. I thank you for your support. We'll see you next time.